Hi, I'm Meagan Johnson, and I am so excited. My next young entrepreneur is someone who I have spoken to before, and she's so graciously agreed to come back after COVID, and we're chatting again. I love, love, love her business idea because not only is it fashion, but it is also really taking care of the environment. It's Berkley Bering. She is the creator, the brainchild, the mastermind behind Past Life, the collective. Berkley, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. That was such a kind intro, so thank you.
I love this business idea. I think it's so exciting. I know you've told me about it, but would you tell us what Past Life, the collective is? How did you come up with the idea and the journey that got you to where you are today?
Sure. So Past Life, the collective is a zero waste, ethically hand-sewn women's clothing brand that's made in Denver, Colorado. Everything is made from sustainable materials, and we also do quarterly giving to charities and organizations that seem relevant for the time. Currently, we're doing an LGBTQ one because of the month of June is celebrating Pride. And I started this whole business because I became aware of how toxic the fashion industry is and that only 2% of clothes are made in the US and
Wow.
only 8% of garment workers are paid a livable wage. And some information says that the fashion industry is the second largest pollutant in the world. And
Wow.
it's being argued, but somewhere between second to the fifth. And I just was like, this is not common knowledge, and all of us are going to be wearing clothes. We're always going to want to wear clothes. We express ourselves through clothing, no matter what, whether we think it or not. So this needs to be information that people know about so that they can learn and choose to shop more responsibly.
It seems to contradict itself. When you think of the fashion industry, you think of it's just so beautiful. I mean, it's just these wonderful works of art. And then on the flip side is sort of the ugly side of fashion is that it's very environmentally toxic, is what I hear you saying.
Totally. And that's like, it is such an interesting paradox, but I think, that goes for a lot of industries. There's a lot of glamour on the outside of everything, but what's going on underneath is not the truth. It's just like how media perceives it to people.
How did it go from you knowing about this, and did you learn it just by fluke? You read it, or were you into fashion?
No. So in college, I took some environmental studies classes, and that's what sparked my interest in climate change. But I was a communication major, and my first taste into environmental stuff that I really was passionate about was something called ocean acidification, and I became really interested in how we're polluting our oceans. And then from there, just as like a side hobby, as I grew into my adult life, was researching constantly about what I could actually do to help climate change. Everyone hears about like going vegan or, recycle or whatever, but I was like, what can I really do? So it was kind of like a personal journey for me. I never worked in the fashion industry or in like NGOs for climate. That was not my path. I was, at the time, I was actually waitressing, saving money because I thought I was going to move to Australia.
Move to Australia.
Yes, I thought I was going to move to Australia and just be like a nomad. And I think I had this it's a very classic mind of like a millennial where I was like, the world is screwed. Like, I'm just going to go live my life and travel because nothing matters anyways. And then I was meditating one day and I thought of Past Life, the collective during meditation. And I was like, I have to do this. So I took all the money I had been saving to go to Australia to then start researching and figuring out how I was going to make this business feasible.
So you kind of went down under in a different way.
Totally.
So when you say it came to you while you were meditating, meaning the name of the company, the concept?
I think the concept had been like revelating in me for a while, but the name came to me in my meditation because there's this kind of fabric in the fabric industry. It's called dead stock, and basically dead stock fabric means it's like dead fabric from other brands. So when other brands go to production, they make fabric and they only use 80 to 90% of the fabric they make.
Wow.
That leftover fabric is dead stock. It's deemed dead, and it's either thrown away, burned, or sometimes ends up in these warehouses. So we started the brand with dead stock. So the whole premise of it all was like that fabric had like a past life and we were giving it a new one.
Oh, wow. Now, so when I'm buying, let's say I'm buying a garment at a department store or a clothing store, the fabric that garment was made from, in the factory, what's left over, I guess I had always assumed they used it all up, but you're saying they don't, that there's actually some left over.
Yeah, so the garment industry, one of the reasons why it is so toxic is because it overproduces, because you make more, it becomes cheaper, and when you're paying for cheap labor and cheap fabric, it's really not a big deal to those companies to just throw away all that's left over. And if something's not selling well, then they're not going to keep selling it. They're just going to throw it away.
Oh my gosh. So when you say we, did you have a partner or someone that was helping you, a mentor?
I do not have a partner. I don't have a mentor either. I do have like a team. I guess my mentor is my business consultant, and she is not really involved now, but was really heavily involved in the starting of the business and was one of the first people that I got in contact with when I was trying to start this business. And then I also have a handful of contracted people that help me between some marketing stuff and PR, and then, fun things like accounting and lawyers. And then I have 2 employees that work. We have a store right now on the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder.
Do you really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
It's just a pop-up store. Because of COVID, fortunately, we were able to negotiate to kind of fill the space that the company is trying to lease out. And we moved in January, and it's now June, and we've still been in there and they haven't found anyone. So it's been great. So yeah, I have 2 employees working there. And then, most of the business though comes from our online sales.
Okay. So I really would like to hear, and I think other young entrepreneurs would like to hear, how did it go from you have this idea, and it sounds a great one. There's dead stock. I'm going to take that dead stock, make it into clothing. You have no fashion experience. That has not been your path. How did you go from having the idea to making your first garment?
I think a lot of young people get stuck in, well, I didn't go to school for this. So I don't know how to do it. I can't do it. And I think, the biggest thing that I learned in this process was that nobody really knows what they're doing. And everyone just takes one step further and you figure it out. And that's what I did in creating this business. It's just okay, what do I do? Well, let's create a list of what needs to happen, and on step 1 I need to figure that out. And it was okay, well, first I need to research. I need to research, and I need to ask questions, and I need to talk to people who will talk to me, which can also be uncomfortable for some people, but you really have to practice getting out of your comfort zone immediately, because nothing is comfortable about running a business. And every single day I feel like I'm putting out a fire, or doing something new that I've never done before. But you always figure it out, especially when, I'm the person on the top and the bottom and the side. It's just me, really. So it's I have to figure it out. So with my business, it started with research. And then I contacted every sustainable clothing brand I could find to see if someone would talk to me from there. Most of them didn't, but one woman did. And she let me come shadow her in LA, where her business is based, for a couple days. And that was just I just soaked it up like a sponge. And I wasn't doing anything crazy, but still just I got a premise of how to, what it's like to have clothes that aren't selling, and how to remarket things, etc. Or even just simple things like dealing with customers. So from there, then I continued researching, found a business consultant that specializes in helping people launch sustainable fashion brands.
Okay.
And she really held my hand through everything in the beginning. And then once I soaked all that in, I found production for my friend who helped me design, to go into production with like our cut and sew and grading and then the making of the clothes. So it's been a very long process.
And when did you start? When from the moment the idea came in your mind when did that happen?
I would say June 2019, and
Okay.
our first collection launched May of 2020.
Okay, right there,
Well,
we were in COVID, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it was supposed to launch May of 2020. I correct myself. We didn't because of COVID, and we ended up launching. So really the brand didn't launch until September.
Okay. So you had the idea, you contacted all these sustainable clothing companies, one person responded to you. Did people at least respond and say, no, I won't talk to you, or it was just crickets?
The ones that did respond were just like, we're a team of a lot of like very few people. We don't have time.
Okay.
And at the time I was like, those people are like so rude. And now I get it because like, when you look at my site, you probably think it's some big operation going on. That's like, because it's glamorous on the outside. You just have no idea. And when really I'm packing orders in my house. The clothes are in my like guest bedroom of my house, like being shipped from my house. Like it's and most of the time I'm doing customer service stuff. Like it's just not, I think a lot of small brands and that includes brands that still have, 60,000 followers on Instagram. Like those are all really small brands. Like the brand that I went and mentored or followed around, they have 60,000 followers on Instagram. Her team was 3 people.
Oh, wow. And your interesting point, because your site, I've been on your site many times. It's beautiful. Your site is a gorgeous site. I love the way everything is worded, and you're right. I read the descriptions. I visualize this huge writing team that are putting together all these descriptions and talking about what your company does. So you're right. I do from just looking at your site, you have the impression that it's a very big organization behind your site. So this one woman responded to you, and then what'd you do? You just flew over there?
Yeah, I flew over there. I was like, okay, I'm coming. And I went and followed her around.
Was she surprised that you were so determined?
No, I think she was flattered because I look at it now and I'm like, I would be really flattered if someone wanted to come follow me around. I don't think I would let them because I don't have like she had an actual store and an actual office. So, it was a step above me.
Okay.
But no, I think she was honored. I tried to keep in contact with her after we launched and she was not super interested, and I think she was surprised at how good the site and how good everything came out, and then viewed me as competition.
Oh.
Which is a really common thing in the fashion industry. Like people don't really want to help each other out or tell each other their secrets. The fashion industry is definitely more of a cutthroat, not buddy place.
Would you hope that would change?
Yes. So anytime like anyone reaches out to me, I will tell them happily like where we do our production, and like anything that they want to know. And on our website, we actually share about our production and like where it's done. Other websites for brands, they will not tell you anything about it because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to steal their production, and they don't want you to like know that their production might not be ethical or whatever.
Okay. So you met with this woman, and then how did you know where to go to buy the fabric, to buy the dead stock?
So she told me where she got, because she said she started with dead stock as well.
Okay.
And she told me where she bought the fabric, which was also in LA. And it's this warehouse called Rag Finders, and it is a 3-story building with fabric up to the ceiling everywhere. It was the most crazy experience the first time I went in there. It was gross. I thought like there was cockroaches on the ground. Now I love going in there, but I was so overwhelmed the first time I went in there.
And were you by yourself the first time you went?
No, I brought my friend who started, like, she was also part of the beginning of Past Life. Her name's Addie, and she just helps design the clothes, so she's only involved in that part. But we went together. They give you scissors. You cut swatches of fabric with scissors, and then you bring them up to this like old of your like pile of scraps, and you're like, hi, can we see like how much yardage is on these? And they don't have like a computer system of the fabrics. This old man just has them all memorized. Yeah, and then they go pull it for you. It's a very like weird experience.
It sounds almost archaic. There's nothing. It's not computerized. It's just somebody has it in their head and they go pull the lot of fabric for you.
Literally, yeah.
And when you went in there with Abby, did she have a design already in mind, or did you find the fabric and then design from there?
Yeah, so we usually people design first and then find fabric. We go opposite way. We find fabric and then design based off the fabric, just because we don't know what we're gonna find.
Okay.
And something might have more stretch, so it'll be easier to make a more fitted pant, or a pattern we might think will be really pretty for a dress and not a blouse or whatever. So we first find the fabric and then we're like, okay, let's make these things. And of course we had in mind, like, we really want to make a pant, a top, and a dress, but like we're just not exactly sure yet. And then the fabric usually is inspiring and helps us decide from there.
Now, can this place, the fabric place, can anybody walk in, or did you have to provide credentials?
Nope, anybody can walk in. Anyone can buy a fabric.
Wow.
There's no.
And then what do? You pull your car up and they load the fabric in there?
No, so it takes them. So for us, they ship it back to Colorado.
Oh,
so, okay. But other people, yeah, you can get it. You can literally pull your car up and get it loaded up. And during the pandemic, we weren't able to go, so she was mailing us swatches. We were like looking at in the mail and then being like, okay, hopefully this is good, like fingers crossed.
Oh my! So they mailed you these swatches based on what things they thought you'd like, or things you requested?
Yeah, basically we were like, okay, you've seen what we've liked and what we've made. We're looking for like a larger floral pattern in this type of fabric. Can you please send me swatches of yards of fabric that you have over 50 yards of or something.
Wow. And so you made the clothes. You were going to launch in May, but as we all know, COVID. You launched a little bit later in the year. I remember you telling me, and I thought this was such a great idea. You actually had small fashion shows where people booked appointments to come and to see your clothes.
Yeah, so we had we called them like sip-in shops, and I had my friends wear the clothes, and then we had like wine and stuff, and we were outside, and my friends were wearing clothes so that people could see, and those were really successful in basically like the soft launch of our brand. And of course, like, I wanted to have some big party and all that stuff, but because of COVID, that was not going to happen. So yeah, we did these little sip-in shop events.
Excellent. So so what happened between we're going to launch the line, and now you're at a pop-up? What sort of happened there in between? I mean, it sounds like your business is consistently building, moving forward. So what's happening? What's that process like?
So when I first launched, I did just like organic outreach. And then by November of 2020, I was like, okay, I've grown the brand as much as I possibly could. I need to get PR. So I hired on like a PR team, which then helped me with starting to get me in like publications and stuff like that. So that really helped the brand start growing. And then the other thing that, is hard is because we were in a pandemic, even if people were buying the clothes, they're not really going anywhere wearing them. So like, there's not oh, I love your top, where is it from? Like, that's not happening anywhere. Now it is, but before it wasn't. So still, like, through Christmas, our sales were, okay, not great. And then I would say starting in March, things really picked up. because all of a sudden people were like, I'm going to be going somewhere soon. I'm not going to be in sweatpants anymore. And we started getting more publications. We're going to be in Vogue this month.
Congratulations. To me, that's huge.
Thank you. Yeah, it is.
That's phenomenal.
And then pop-up store has been really helpful too, because random people, Boulder is such a touristy town. So many random people are coming in there, which has been great.
How do you decide how much of an item to make? I mean, when I walk into a store, it seems like there's, if they don't have the size there, they can ship it to me. But it sounds like with you, there's somewhat of a limited production. How do you decide how many sizes to make?
That is such a great question, and something that has been such a big learning thing for me. We have had so many of our clothes are sold out in certain sizes, and then other sizes aren't selling. Or, some in like some patterns in a certain style are really selling well, but others aren't. So it's very interesting. We made more sizes of like the average size to make that we thought our buyer would be, which is like sizes 4 through 8. And those sell really well. But then we actually, like in certain pants, we sold a lot, and like the larger sizes were completely sold out of them. All of our pants and like the smaller sizes, like even 0 and 2, sell out so fast. So it's like, it's very confusing of what to do and what to make. And I think, a big part of that also is like for larger bodied women, like we learned this the long way. Like for our most recent collection, we used models that were larger bodied to show larger bodied women what the clothes would look like on them. Whereas before, we didn't do that. And so we didn't really sell the large sizes. So it's definitely like a learning process. And also, for us, it's a little bit of a gamble because we're using dead stock. We're using like small batch runs of fabric, and it might not necessarily be like on trend. And so it's a gamble to see if it will actually sell and people will be into it or not.
Interesting. And you mentioned large-bodied models or women, because I noticed that on your site. You have a variety, your models nobody looks alike. You have a huge variety of different models on your site. That obviously was a purposeful decision?
Yeah. I mean, I think 2020 really wrapped it up nicely for people. Like there was the Black Lives Matter movement, and then also like a lot of like inclusivity stuff, and I was just like, I'm not about to be a brand that's not inclusive. And I'm like that. I want everyone to feel welcome. And I think buying clothes can be, even if you're buying online, it can be an intimidating, uncomfortable experience, because you want the model to like look like you or have some relation to you. And I'm not going to have a bunch of white blonde girls up there, because that might look like me, but that looks like everybody. Right. And so and for me also, starting this brand, like I'm a size 8, and I always felt like when I was shopping on websites, I'm like, all these girls are so skinny, like it looks so good on them, but will it look good on me? I don't know. And so I wanted to be a website that's like, this is what it'll look like on you, and we think it will look great.
And so when it came to hiring models or even the people that are working in your store, did you do that interviewing, or did you have somebody else that sort of found those people for you?
So models, you don't really interview. Models is like a casting call, and you basically like choose them based off of their like appearance and size. So
that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah. As for the girls who work in my store, I did interview them. Both of them happened to be people that kind of fell into my lap, which has been great, because also it's been really hard for businesses like a retail store to hire staff at this time. But one girl, she was actually an intern for me previously, and she was looking for retail experience, so that worked out well, and she's just a little college student. And then the other girl, I put local artists' art up in the store and of Boulder, and she was a local artist that I put up in the store, and then she needed some part-time work, so it just worked out great.
Oh, that's perfect. Do you, and I was reading on your site that you have a take-back program. So if I buy something and I'm done wearing it or I'm not going to wear it anymore, I can send it back to you?
Yes. So the people are taught that donating clothing is a really responsible and kind thing to do. Most of the time, though, like 9 times out of 10, that clothing is going to go into the resale market and actually get shipped off to Africa. And there's a lot of not great things that are happening with the resale market in Africa because it's hurting their own economy of making clothes because they're just receiving secondhand clothes from the US. Anyways, so it's really important for people to know that their clothing, when they're done wearing it, really doesn't have an afterlife. If you do donate it, it's usually either trashed or goes into that resale market. So we wanted to create a take-back program so that nothing gets put in the landfills. So once someone's done wearing the garment into the ground, they can resend it back to us and we will repurpose it. We've so far to repurpose fabric, we make them into hang tags, or we also will like recycle them.
I see. Now I did not know that. You're right, because I donate clothes like crazy. I'm done with it. So I want to donate it, and I did not know that's what happened. What happened to it? I imagined it went to a shelter.
Exactly, and unfortunately, it does. The donation of clothes is a great thing, but if you think about how much you donate, your friends don't, like everybody donates so much stuff that there's just no way that those places can process all of that. And so, unfortunately, that is also a truth that, is not common knowledge to people.
So would I contact you and I bought something from you a year ago, I've worn it out, now I'm going to send it back, and then do you send me a mailing label or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll send you a mailing label to ship it back, and then we also will give you a credit to continue shopping with us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, and I like to ask this question because I think other young entrepreneurs want to know, was there anything you did that went terribly wrong? That you're like, oh, that was a big mistake?
Yeah. All the time. I think the most recent one that comes to mind was we just came out with a collection, and one of the colors of the linen pants, the certain linen fabric that we got, it rips easily, and I didn't figure that out until I was wearing the pants, and I looked down and I was like, oh my God, these pants are ripping, and I was like, was the sewing done badly? Like, what happened? And then I ran up to like my inventory area and I started like pulling on all the fabric of those pants, and they all started ripping, and I was like, my heart sunk, and I was just like, oh my God. And long story short, we didn't test the fabric. Like we were like, oh, it's great. Like it's organic linen. It'll be perfect. And hindsight, I wish I would have tested the fabric. So that's a small one. I mean, small one kind of. But like, I think that those moments happen all the time. But the biggest piece of it all, was like for me, when that happened, I cried about it. And then I was like, okay, what's my solution? What am I going to do? Like, let me start looking through my contracts with my production to see like if this was partially their fault too. And it's just like to pick up and keep moving, because like you're the conductor of this train, so you got to keep going.
How exciting was it when you saw that very first garment? You went over, you bought the fabric, and then the garment was made. What was that like?
It was like surreal.
Yeah.
It was just, you're so proud of yourself, and you're just like, I can't believe like this is really happening. It is wild to like look back on all of it and, think about the first thing, and now I have like hundreds and hundreds of things, in my house that are ready to sell. And it's also surreal to like look at the first designs and see how much better I've gotten at designing and understanding like that every body is so different and clothes need to look good on everyone. So how to make things that work that way.
Yeah, I think that would be, to me, I would think that would be the challenge. You have to create something that's gonna look good on a variety of different people. Yes,
that is a challenge for sure. And it's also just a good reminder to ourselves though, like sometimes it's not the clothes, sometimes it's just like it just doesn't look right sometimes on people, and it's nothing wrong with the garment, it's just that's how it works sometimes.
And how do you decide, what fashion trends to follow? I mean, I was speaking to an influencer. She called herself an influencer, and she just, did inform me that skinny jeans are done. We're done with skinny jeans, even though I've just finally figured out how to get them on. I'm so proud of myself with the skinny jeans. She's like, yeah, skinny jeans are done, but you being older, she said to me, you can still wear them. But how do you decide what fashion trends to follow?
So our biggest thing is like our clothes that we make go past the trends, like that we're not following like what's trendy, because what's trendy isn't sustainable, and like that's the whole premise of our brand, is being sustainable.
Okay.
What's trendy right now for those influencers is going to go out of style quickly. Mm-hmm. And those trends are created by fast fashion brands. Like they're the ones doing all that stuff because that's how they make, people buy, and then it goes out of style and they make something else.
Gotcha.
So ours is more like this, your wardrobe staples, and they're like fun pieces, but they're going to last. They're always going to be cute. Like you can wear them for years and years. And also, for a majority of influencers, especially within like trendy fashion, they're really young, and my target audience isn't somebody who's 20 years old. I'm targeting late 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s women that, and I'm the same as you. Like I'm not a Gen Z, so what's cool now is like I'm not cool anymore. I was cool when they told me that the skinny jeans were off and low-waisted jeans are in. I'm like, I absolutely am not going to wear low-waisted jeans. That'll never happen. So
I was like, I can't get rid of my skinny jeans again, because I've figured out how to get them on and off, because it's almost harder to get them off than it is to get them on.
It is a process for sure.
I have to ask, because I saw this on your site, buttons versus zippers.
Yes. So we basically, when I created the brand, I went through every single tiny detail and was like, I'm going to be the most sustainable, the most ethical brand there is. Like there are sustainable brands, there are ethical brands out there, but they're not doing everything. And I was like, I'm going to do everything. So zippers are really hard to recycle. They're usually not recycled. They're just thrown away. And so, but wooden buttons are recyclable. So none of our clothes have zippers on them. Oh. All of our hardware is either like made from aluminum or wooden buttons. And for the wooden buttons, for every tree that's harvested, or every 2 trees that are harvested, another tree is planted. To make those buttons, which is from a company in New York. Mm-hmm. And then our other notions are made from aluminum. Okay.
So, Berkley, what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs? So someone's listening to you talk. I mean, and I think if I were, and I feel this way listening to you now, it's like, wow, you went from basically, starting, and you passed go within a very quick amount of time, you built an impressive business in a short amount of time, also in the middle of COVID. I think that'd be very intimidating for a young entrepreneur to hear. What advice would you give a young entrepreneur?
To not get in your own way. I think, I just put my head down and said I was going to do it, and then you do. And I think a lot of the times people are so concerned about taking risk, and really you just have to do it. Because I'll never forget, I was listening to NPR's How I Built This from Guy Raz, and
love him, love that show. Yep.
Love him so much. And he talked about, on a quote on episode, he said 99% of entrepreneurs have an idea and they don't do it. There's only 1% that has the idea that will do it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be that 1%. And I said I was gonna do it, and so I did. And I think for young people, especially, I'm grateful that I started this business. I don't have kids or family, so it's there's nothing, it's just me. So I can really give everything that I have. And I think it's a great time for people to do that.
Oh, that's great. All right, Berkley, you have been, just like you were a year ago, a fabulous interview. I always like, though, at the end, the shameless promotion plug. If somebody is listening to this, watching this, and they want to find your clothing, find you, how would they go about doing that?
You can visit our website at www.pastlifethecollective.com, on Instagram at pastlifethecollective. Yeah, and if you want to follow me, it's at Berkley Bering on Instagram.
And you've got the store on Pearl Street in Boulder.
Yes, we do. And then we do a lot of pop-up markets through the Denver area. So if you're Colorado based. And
then Vogue, when will the issue of Vogue come out with you in it?
It should be coming out within the next week. So it's just an online piece, but that'll be coming out shortly, and we have some other stuff coming out soon. So.
Oh, I can't wait to read that. I can't wait to read it, so I will be looking for that. Thank you so much, Berkley. And again, if you want to get in touch with Berkley, please visit our website, Past Life the Collective. And it has been so much fun. Thank you, Berkley. Again, it was wonderful to talk to you, and it's so exciting to see how much progress you've made in a year. I am amazed. I'm not surprised, but it is amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.